Beautiful souls, good morning, good morning, good morning. Tennessee, here you go right here. Tennessee late pairs, 6-7-4-4. What does that mean? You just simply can play 6-7-4-4. These are your late pairs and your pick three. Maybe you can go 4-4-6, 4-4-7. You can just kind of like mix it up. Good morning, beautiful souls. We're gonna go ahead and write Ohio up here, man. Shout out to Ohio. I just want to talk about some things today, guys. Not even going to be long. Just want to share a few things, guys. Oftentimes, man, you get, you know, different kind of feeds that go through your phone, and sometimes you'll tell yourself you'll either swipe through them, and I really hate to swipe through people's stuff because sometimes when I look through my swipe through little analytics, it just tells me I have came a long way because normally my swipe through would be on like a 75%. What does that mean? Somebody, I guess YouTube would recommend your channel and somebody just swipe right on through it like, I ain't messing with them. But that's all good. But sometimes I just like to, view, individuals, just to see what they're talking about. And 300. Okay, y'all had 300. So we already know 890 should be in Ohio. It's maybe. All right. And ran across a video, man, and I just want to share some things like in the mid 90s. Coming up, being around individuals, buying cars, at a rapid speed rather. They was buying cars like, cars was a pair of tennis shoes. And actually, if you ever would have watched Paid in Full, even when they were saying, when Dame Dash was saying, he can drive a car 5 days of a week. We had that kind of stuff going on too here in the nation's capital. It probably was on mute because, again, man, if you wasn't in certain circles, you would never known. But during that time, it was a car lot in Virginia. I almost want to say, is that like, what can we say? We not too far from Boston Market. Not Boston, is that Boston Commons in Virginia? Anyway, man, it's the most famous car lot. If you was coming up in the 90s, in the 90s era, you was buying vehicles, you already know what I'm talking about. Either you was with somebody who went out there and got a car, or you just heard about that car lot. Well, long story short, the owner, his name was Alex, right? If you want to go ahead and do your research, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. During that time, Alex had got himself caught up, basically, taking cash money, whether it was hundreds of thousands, 40s, 50s, basically anything that triggered the IRS off, right? So long story short, they came and got him. He gave up a few people and, basically was able to keep his business going, right? That was part of his deal. So now we got Eastern Motors, right? Many probably don't know about this, but it is what it is. Like I said, man, times have changed. Person don't care what the hell you done. You can support who you want to support, man. Like people say, as long as it don't affect me. But long story short, Alex, I think he owned a lot of Eastern Motors now. And give me one more second, guys. And during that time going out V8, even before CarMax, that was a place that everybody would go. You go out CarMax. CarMax is a automotive store. What does that mean? They have varieties of any car you want, whether it's a Lexus, whether it's a BMW. They have all the cars, right? But if you want to be distinguished and you want to say, well, I want a Maserati, right? I want a Maserati. They have Maseratis out there. But at the same time, and I'm just giving you an example because I saw something. And me, man, I like small details. And it didn't make no sense at all what I heard. But see, when you're talking to a group of people who don't know no better, and, you could just tell them anything, you can basically get away with shaking the dice. That's what we call it. You're telling the story, you're welling, and so forth and so forth. All right, so 3. Give me 1 second, guys. Try to do this for you. Shout out to Ohio. I don't want to lose what I'm talking about. So we go 10, we go 107. We'll just leave this here for Ohio. All right. So if you go to a car lot, right, a specific car lot, you want a specific car, you want a Maserati, right? You go to the Maserati dealer, right? As you go to the Maserati dealer, you now see that you can, normally you buy a car, supposedly, just to keep up the maintenance, you want to take your car to the Maserati dealer, right? You want to get your brakes and stuff changed. You want to get your oil changed. You do not take a Maserati to any side locations. If you want to, if you're trying to cut some corners, yes, you can take it to Jiffy Lube. I don't know how your money is. That's you. But I'm just talking about before you jump out there and buy a car, guys, just know, the maintenance fees, right? But going to the Maserati dealer, I don't think you will see a Lexus. Now, if I'm mistaken, let me know. Again, I haven't actually, brought a car in many, many, many years, man. I'm really not into cars. It's other things that you can buy out here in life. We're living in a time now, man. You can go to a guy with their dealership license, and you can give them $1,500, and they can go get the same car you want if you had the money. Okay, so I'm sorry. But you're at a Maserati dealer, but I'm not sure if you will see a Lexus or you will see a BMW, because all we do is specialize in Maseratis. Same thing if you go to a Maserati dealer and you want one, you shouldn't see a BMW, you shouldn't see a Lexus, you shouldn't see maybe a Lamborghini, right? Now, it's just me. But say if you in an auto store, one of these big lots like a CarMax or something like that, when they got all the foreign cars, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Corvettes, and all that stuff, it's possible you want to see that. But when you talking about like any specific car, Mercedes, Lexus, if you go to a Mercedes-Benz dealer, now I want to be careful with this, because the last time I went to Euro Motors, that's all you saw was Mercedes-Benz, right? And your service department, up in the air, getting oil change, getting brakes, getting stuff like that. You didn't see maybe a Tesla or nothing like that, right? So what I'm saying, if somebody's saying, well, I went to a Mercedes dealer and I was, thinking about getting a car. First of all, let me just let you know, when you're talking about Mercedes and A.M.Gs and things like that, man, you got to be prepared for these vehicles, man. These cars not nothing to play with, man. It's one thing if you get a Mercedes, but when you're talking about stepping up to maybe an extra $15,000, $30,000 because you like an A.M.G., you got to be ready to handle that. I'm talking about brake service might cost you $2,500, man. We all know oil change, the average oil change on a Mercedes might cost you $450. So you got to be careful with that. But to say that you went to a Mercedes-Benz dealer and they had to, the car you was looking at, it was in the showroom, and they had to pull some Ferraris out and stuff like that, it didn't really register to me. Now, maybe different dealerships does different things, but I wouldn't think a Ferrari, right, will actually be in a Mercedes-Benz dealer. Now, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but you got to watch people's small details. But when you have people who don't know no better, right, when you have people who you can just, old timer used to tell me, man, you're not going to urinate in my face and tell me it's raining, right? I used to say, man, that's kind of harsh, but I like it. But I don't think I could say it, though. Like, you can't piss in my face and tell me it's raining. Like, and I'm listening to this, and I'm like, why do we do this as people? Why do we exaggerate as much as we do? It's one thing, hey, man, I'm looking for, I'm trying to get me a new car. What you think? What's all the extra lying for, though? Because me, I'm not going to go to a dealership and come back and talk about it. I'm going to pull out my phone if I think I have to. And man, look, everything ain't for everybody, but I'm not going to come back and talk about where I was at a dealership and nah, man, we don't do stuff like that. It's either you want to buy it or nah. And like I said, man, in the mid '90s, like cars, people was buying cars like running water, man. Guys used to wake up. Hey, man, what you think about? You seen the new 320 convertible? I used to be like, man, I saw it. Like I said, man, I was a car guy, and they was like, what you think? Black? What you silver? And I man, black wanna look good. Black top. We going to get it. You know the 850s came out, man. What color? Man, I like that. I like that cherry with the ivory seats. You know, you go a certain mile. You know, you go fast enough, man. The windows get to rolling down by themselves after 65 miles per hour. We gonna go get it. But when you hear people talking and you be like, that's not understandable. But maybe different states does different things. But to say that you're looking for a Mercedes and they had to actually go in a showroom and remove a Ferrari, right? Something that's probably a little top tier than a Mercedes to show you the vehicle. That didn't register to me. With that being, man, look, man, I'm gone, man.